Hello YouTube, it's PS3 Gaming Scotland here and welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and gaming lots. So in today's video I thought I'd look back at this last decade and talk about the games that I thoroughly enjoyed playing. So this is going to be quite a big video. We're going to go year by year, so from 2010 to 2019. Normally a decade is 10 years, but for this video it's going to be 9 years, as 2020 is the start of a new decade. However, that being said, I've got a big list of games from each year and I'm just going to talk about my memories and highlights of said game. So, without further ado, let's jump into my best games of the decade. Now, before we get into this list, let me know what your favourite games from this last decade were down below in the comment section. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So first up then, we're starting with 2010. We had a lot of games from 2010, but just some here. The highlights: Red Dead Redemption. It was a really fun Red Dead game, and I really loved the zombie mode attached to it, which came out I think a year later. We had Battlefield Bad Company 2, one of the best games in this franchise. I used to love first-person modern day shooters and I still do, but Battlefield Bad Company 2 was really fun and the online was tremendous. We also had Call of Duty Black Ops. Now this was the very first Black Ops game from Treyarch. It was one of my favourite games, playing old maps like Firing Range and Nuketown. Also, my very first David Cage game was Heavy Rain. Now this had a really fantastic story and had about 16 different endings, which gave you that sense of replayability. It was really tremendous. Now on to 2011, Modern Warfare 3 was in the heyday of Call of Duty. It was really fun. Campaign was brilliant and the multiplayer was really fun and exciting as well. We also had Resistance 3, which was a really good end to the franchise or the trilogy. It was really fun, exciting and really good campaign. The best game from 2011 is Uncharted 3. It's not the best game in the franchise, but it's one of the best games in 2011, Uncharted 3. The single player campaign was tremendous and I don't know if the multiplayer servers are currently still active, which is a shame, but if you want to play some Uncharted, you can always jump on and play multiplayer on Uncharted 4 or The Lost Legacy. So next up we had 2012. 2012 was another really good year for games. We had Far Cry 3, a really good game. Recently played that recently. Vaas was such a fantastic villain. Far Cry games are always about the villain. So next up then, from 2012, we had The Walking Dead. Now this game started one of the best franchises that Telltale ever done, and later Skyward Entertainment have ever done. We also had the sequel to Black Ops. Black Ops 2 was a really fun futuristic shooter, and the campaign was really good, and also the multiplayer was really fun as well. But one of my favourite games from 2012 was Sleeping Dogs. Now this is a GTA style open world game set in China. You could eat all the Chinese food. There was a lot of interactivity, buy loads of expensive cars and clothes and items from the stores, and missions are really fun and varied. So really good Sleeping Dogs game, which then later spawned the Watch Dogs franchise, which we're in full swing of that now. So next up we had 2013. 2013 was a really good year. We had the first entry in the rebooted Tomb Raider series, Tomb Raider the Definitive Edition. We had The Wolf Among Us, which was a really fantastic game about fairy tale animals coming to life and superpowers and everything. We had GTA 5. The single player campaign was absolutely tremendous. I remember waiting in line for the GTA 5 midnight launch at the time. The queue was out the door. Tremendous game. And we had The Last of Us, one of the best games of the decade in my opinion. Really awesome single player game. Multiplayer is really fun as well, but the single player was where it was at, and the relationship between Joel and Ellie was tremendous, and I can't wait to find out more in The Last of Us Part 2 coming the end of May 2020. So in 2014 we had Far Cry 4, which was a really good game. Try to go on a journey to try and find out what happened to your mother. We had Watch Dogs, a really tremendous game. Two quite difficult trophies. One was random and luck based, which was try and get all the songs on your iPad randomly by hacking people from each of the different areas. Just very time consuming. And also the drinking game opponents getting to level 10 was the most time consuming trophy in that game, but they have patched it so you'll be able to get that with ease now. And we also had Infamous Second Son. Now that was a tremendous game. Highly recommend, from Sucker Punch. The graphics were incredible and it was a really fun game. 2015 had Life is Strange. That was a tremendous game where your actions affect the outcome of the game, so that gives you that sense of replayability. Characters were really good and you wanted to see what the outcome of the storylines was. Until Dawn was a really fantastic exclusive, which I played at a friend's house. Black Ops 3 was quite a good Black Ops game, but I had boost jumping, which I wasn't really a fan of. And we had the Order 1886, to name just a few games, which a lot of people said was crap, but I thoroughly enjoyed the Order 1886. Very short, single player linear experience, almost like a corridor shooter, which was really good, but it shouldn't have been full price. Like it was $50 or $60. It shouldn't have happened. I would recommend if you pick it up, you can probably get it for about £10-15 now. Really good, easy platinum as well. The 2016 we had Watch Dogs 2, which was a sequel to Watch Dogs, continued the story, but you played as a different character in San Francisco, I believe. But Uncharted 4 was where it was at, one of the best games of the decade, as well as one of the best games in the franchise, if not the best in my opinion. But a close second would be Uncharted 2. But Uncharted 4 was tremendous, better story, incredible graphics, and the story beats were fantastic in the game. 2017 then we had Horizon Zero Dawn. I've not played that yet, but I plan on playing it early next year. Resident Evil 7, haven't played that. I'm currently playing the Resident Evil games in order, so I'm waiting for Resident Evil 3, and then I'll be able to jump back on 4 to 7 from the PS4 days. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was a fantastic single player story orientated game about mental health, very dark, and you could obviously see the outcome of that character as you progress through the game. Very dark, and feel very sorry for her. Lost Legacy was another fantastic game. Fortnite, I dabbled in that when it first came out with friends. It was a really fun sort of unique idea at the time, but now being inundated with other games copying it, and they're just boring now. Battle Royale genre's died. And last but not least, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Platinumed all 3 games, took 3 months to do it over the summer of 2017. My thumbs had massive indentations and were really sore after doing all the time trials, but tremendous. Got a chance to play 1 and 2, as I originally played 3 Warped on the PS1. So a fantastic trilogy, really great price and fantastic characters and game to boot. So looking back at 2018, we had some fantastic games in 2018, and it's been one of the best games in years of the last decade, 2018 by a country mile. So we had, looking at my list here, Red Dead Redemption 2, tremendous game. God of War was the game of the year, absolutely fantastic game. I want to go back and platinum that. Currently playing through Spider-Man as we speak at the time of recording this video. It's a really fun action-packed game. Far Cry 5 was another tremendous open world game. Explore at your own pace, no mini map and no towers. Really fantastic additions to the Far Cry franchise. We had Shadow of the Colossus, a game that I haven't played and I don't really want to take down the big beasts of the game. Detroit Become Human, another fantastic game by David Cage. Highly recommend. Multiple endings, really good story. Albeit was another tremendous game by Joseph Fares. 2-player co-op game, you have to play co-op, and it's highly recommended. And if you buy the game, you can give the game to a friend of your choice. Tremendous. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, another fantastic end to the rebooted trilogy of Tomb Raider. Lara Croft was tremendous in it, and it went back to the original games, back to basic. Tremendous. And finally we had the Spyro trilogy, all 3 games from the first Spyro franchise. Tremendous story, tremendous graphics, absolutely brilliant, and it was a delight to go back and replay the first 3 games of the Spyro franchise. And finally we're into 2019. What a year it's been. Resident Evil 2 Remake, my game of the year. Absolutely tremendous graphics, story, characters. Misdirect was such a fantastic game and mechanic. Control was another fantastic single player story game. The graphics were incredible, a lot of red and psychological thriller, really good boss fights. We had Sekiro, a really hard game, which was the game of the year of 2019. Hadn't played it, but it does look and feel fantastic. Really love the art style and graphics. Jedi Fallen Order, it's another Star Wars game. I've heard really good things about it and hope to pick up early next year. We had Modern Warfare Reboot, one of the best campaigns and easiest platinums in the franchise. Highly recommend the campaign. Multiplayer was okay, but the campaign was where it was at for me. We had Death Stranding, haven't played that. It can be quite a controversial game. Those that like it absolutely love it, and those that don't like it don't. I'm all for companies and game publishers try to do something new, try to make something different, and that is definitely what Death Stranding is. It's not like the ordinary open world games, it's very unique, and I praise Kojima for taking a risk on this game. So next up we have the Untitled Goose Game. Now this is one of the most surprising indie games of 2019. Basically you play as a goose and you go around each of the different areas of the town, terrorising townspeople by quacking at them, and also there's challenges to complete in every area of the game. It's a really fun game, and it's just one for all the family, definitely. So next up then we had Shenmue 3. It's another game I've got my eye on, and I can't wait to see the outcome of the franchise. I'm recently a new fan of the franchise. 1 and 2 were incredible, so can't wait to see how 3 moves the franchise on. So next up then we've got A Plague Tale Innocence, which has been one of the best story driven games of 2019 and also the decade. You would do all you can, everything in your power, to try and find a cure for your very ill son or daughter or relative, and that's why this game will relate to so many millions of people. And it's also got a really fantastic story in there for good measure. The combat is fantastic, the characters are brilliant, and it's just one very fantastic game which I highly recommend in my opinion. So one of my favourite open world games of 2019, bringing my 2 main games from open world games and zombie games, put them together and you get Days Gone. Days Gone is one of the best open world games and games of 2019 and also of the decade. It's absolutely tremendous. It's got a tremendous story. Something happens to your wife at the start of the game. You go on a massive quest to find out what happened to her, and it's also another relatable game that can relate to millions of people, which is a very good thing. The characters are incredible and there's lots of variety in missions and things to do, side quests and collectibles throughout the game. It's absolutely incredible, and taking on the massive zombie hordes at end game content is absolutely fantastic. Gives you that sense of replayability. You can either go in all guns blazing, go in for a strategic approach using traps in their environment to take down big groups of zombies. Really fun game and one highly recommend. And finally we have the remake of Crash Team Racing. Really good to see that being brought back, beautifully remastered for a modern day audience. Really fun and very difficult, but it's a very good and very fun game. I also would like to see a Crash Bash remake or a Frogger remake in the future. That would be incredible. Replaying those games again with beautiful HD graphic, maybe for the PS5, would be incredible. But anyway guys, that has been my favourite games of this decade. Let me know what games have been your favourite down below in the comment section. But as always, thank you very much indeed for watching. I've been PS3 Gaming Scotland, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks very much indeed guys, bye bye.